You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. This is the Jenn and Rick Show, and I am Rick, she is Jen, and we have lots to talk about this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to her for a minute, because I feel like lately I've been doing a lot more talking than her. So, good evening, how are you?
No, it's good. I'm doing okay, surviving another day in this insane election between the crooked liar liberal and the crooked lying liberal.
Lying liars who lie.
Yeah.
Those are our political choices.
I think Trump's more populist maybe than she is.
But yeah, that's definitely true. So I have a question after seeing everything that's been kind of made the news cycle today. When are we just going to stop pretending and add the second S to the initials of our country?
I saw your tweet about that today. I thought that was funny.
I'm just like, can we just get it over with and start calling ourselves the United Socialist States of America? Can we just stop pretending that we're still free? I mean, look, you look at everything that Donald Trump wants to do, and it's no different than the Democrat platform, and it's most of the crap that Obama's already tried to do that up until now our side's been fighting against. But now that he's saying it, it's like, this is awesome. I'm just sitting here going, weren't you guys just opposed to all this crap like 30 seconds ago? I mean, they showed a tweet today that I quote tweeted from one of your favorite people who you're blocked from, so I'm not sure if you saw it, where she was making fun of somebody else for talking about free childcare, etc. And so somebody quote tweeted it and was like, well, you see, this is what Trump said today. So then I had to have a little fun with it too. And I'm like, if anybody on the Democratic side of the aisle would mention that we're going to find a way to basically make companies provide paid maternity and paternity leave and childcare, etc., the normal old school right would have been like, you're going to do what? No. But now, because it's Trump and because they're all brainwashed and they have to pull the lever for the guy that's got the R behind his name, they're like, oh, this is a really smart solution to a really bad problem. Please give me some more Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And, a lot of the spin that I saw was also crap like, well, basically it was like, you never Trumpers, like you can't, obviously he has to go get the votes somewhere. And so this was a smart way to do it. Bring in more blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh, just someone give me the gun. It's so absurd the way that they've tried to spin this. And I watched people and they said, oh, the same like they've done with him and excusing his position changes on everything. Said, people can evolve, and this is totally different than what Obama proposed literally in the State of the Union in 2015. So, and everybody was up in arms about it. But now that Trump said it, they're carrying his water. And I thought a couple people made a good point today. Matt Walsh, I think, was one of the first ones that I saw that said it, that is something you and I have said a lot, is it's one thing to be resigned to vote for Trump. It's a totally different thing to abandon, your views and conservative principles in order to fit with all of his and to adapt your viewpoints in order to fit in line with all of his so that you can feel, I guess, better about supporting him. I mean, that's just the definition of selling out. It's one thing to be like, begrudgingly vote for him because you think Hillary is worth. It's a totally different thing to, just lose all self-respect and go, oh, well, now I'm just going to manipulate anything and everything because I have to make him sound good and I have to make it seem like this is totes okay and definitely conservative. Of course, none of it is.
I mean, dude, it literally. I mean, I made a joke about it, and I tried to include Hannity in it, but he just never responds to me. But I really don't care anymore. I'm still kind of pushing for the block at this point. But I was like, hey, why are you talking about Trump's new great daycare plan? Because doesn't that bring like a whole new definition to the term nanny state? I'm just saying.
Also, I mean, I guess he knows a lot about it since his kids were never raised by him.
No, this is true.
All nannies, all nannies.
All nannies all the time under Trump POTUS.
Right? Yep.
Oh, man. I don't understand it because that's straight out of the Democratic playbook. And they're like, well, it's going to be the businesses doing it this time, so it's not going to be anything the government's going to have any control over. No. Oh, really? So you don't think at some point they're going to start making it? I mean, and this is the thing nobody talks about. It's the same thing that we started saying about Obamacare. Look, it's really simple. No, this is not socialized medicine yet. But think of it as if you're building a house. This is the frame for the house. As they go along, they're going to continue to add walls. They're going to start adding windows. They're going to add doors. And eventually you're going to be boxed into this house called socialized medicine. You're not going to realize you got there because they've been building it slowly around you this whole time because you kept giving it incrementally. So think about it from this perspective. And nobody's talking about this yet, which is why I wanted to open with this. So they're going to give you tax credits, right? Because you're going to be able to pick where your kids go to daycare, and they're going to be able to give you tax credits, etc. But see, the thing about that is it's no different than the education standards at the federal level. They're going to start coming in. They're going to start monitoring the daycare centers. They're going to start removing the tax credits from the ones that they don't agree with. They're going to start forcing you, well, if you want the tax credits, you're going to have to go to this daycare center over here because they're government accredited. And it's going to wind up being exactly what we were talking about in the group earlier today. It's going to wind up being Common Core, the junior edition, because that's where it's all going to start. This is nothing but another way to continue the government's indoctrination. But now they're trying to do it as a carrot approach as opposed to a stick approach, because they're like, hey, we're actually going to give you a tax credit so you can get some of your money back on your daycare. But what happens with those tax credits? They always find ways to put strings with them. There's always things that you have to do to be able to qualify for the tax credit. And I will bet you dollars to Fat Guy Donuts, because I am a fat guy, that at some point they will actually start requiring that you go to certain centers to be able to get the tax credits. I guarantee you, I will bet, I don't even have it, but I hope to in about 5-10 years, I will bet somebody $5 million that within 20 years, that's exactly what's happening if this stuff happens.
Well, the problem with everyone that is trying to push this off as the companies, well, first of all, that means that it's going to be a government mandate controlling private business, which is absolutely anti-conservative. And then secondly, they're full of it because it says would offer 6 weeks of government guaranteed. Anytime it says government guaranteed, even though they're going to force certain companies to do it, it means if the companies don't, no, it's not just on the companies. The government's going to back it up. And that's what they're talking about, taking it out of, fraud, reducing fraud and waste and whatever. And then that's how they're going to take it out of the unemployment insurance that companies have to carry. And so they'll offset it with reductions so they don't have to, raise taxes. But it's still taxes. I mean, so we are still paying for it. The government, they said government guaranteed, that is government control, plain and simple. And I find it completely ridiculous for anyone to argue otherwise. I mean, you actually cannot. It is dishonest to argue that it is not, that it's not going to be from the government and does not require our money to be able to do so, because it does.
I mean, I have a question, though, honestly, because why is it that when a Democrat says that we're going to save money and make sure the program's funded by cutting waste and abuse, everybody laughs and they get like this big, deep belly laugh because they know it's like, whatever. But somebody with an R behind their name says it, and all of a sudden, because they have an R behind their name, well, they must actually mean it. This dude is the furthest thing from a Republican. I mean, he is the definition of Republican in name only, but now we're being called rhinos because we won't support him.
Yeah, but apparently now he is establishment the establishment is supporting him, the party is supporting him, and yet he's still anti-establishment? I don't get it. But he's doing everything that establishment Democrats do. No, he's not doing what establishment Republicans do. He's doing what establishment Democrats do. So that's what's so mind-boggling about it all, and just infuriating, really, because they are just passing all this off. And, you know, Noah Rossman in Commentary Magazine today, he highlighted more than just what this is. He was talking about how this is just one in a long list of, you know, ridiculous policy proposals that Trump's campaign has had. And he talks about how, you know, he's talked about more funding for the Department of Veteran Affairs, which, you know, we all think would be great in the terms of getting them better care and taking care of our veterans, except for it's not that simple, and we have to fix the VA before we can just throw money at it. That's not going to do anything good. And he's talking about like a $500 billion public works program. He's talking about, you know, $300 billion to round up for illegal immigration, and another $7 billion for the wall, which experts say would be at least $17 billion just for the materials. If you, of course, and then you can talk about his positions on trade, which is just ridiculous. But all of it is anti-conservative, and all of it does nothing but swell the government. And it acting like he's going to somehow miraculously find all of this waste, fraud, and abuse that he will eliminate and then put those funds towards these other things is laughable, number one. And number two, doesn't really fix the problem. The government's already big enough to begin with. So just because you're going to shift around the projects and shift around the money doesn't make me feel any better about what it is you're trying to do. Sorry.
No, exactly. I mean, not to bring back the whole casino analogies, but to this point, Trump's basically been playing a shell game this entire time. And now he's planning on playing shell games with government funding and government programs. And the thing that you need to realize, and I don't think anybody's caught on to this yet, there's a reason Donald Trump doesn't want anybody to see his tax returns. There's a reason why he keeps trying to hide a lot of his financial records. The guy is actually making money off of this campaign, and nobody's talking about that. Simple fact of the matter is he keeps loaning his campaign money and making the campaign pay it back to him with interest, while he's sending out all these emails to people that are like, hey, we need you, pay me $200, do you have a chance to come sit down and have dinner with me? It might be worth the $200 just to throw a drink in his face, but I don't think Secret Service would let me live.
No, it's true. And I do find it interesting, you know, there's this back and forth in the media about who's getting favorable coverage and who's, you know, is the media, they're so pro-Trump, they're giving him all this, or they're so pro-Hillary, they're giving him all that. But I do think that there's, you know, a reason to kind of scratch your chin in a lot of ways that, you know, they are hounding him, and they're hounding him about the words that he says right now, and they're hounding him on some other kind of things like Trump University and whatever. But he is kind of getting a pass on some of this other very questionable stuff, as is Hillary, you know, with the Clinton Foundation. Sure, some stuff came out that should have been bombshells, but where did it go? Nowhere. No one cared, and the media didn't cover it long enough to keep the public's interest. So I think they're both getting a little bit of an easy out as far as their finances go, and their various financial excursions, whether it be through foundations or investments or partnerships.
Well, you know, it's interesting because you keep mentioning all the press from Hillary. Let's look at this again, because think about it. The whole news cycle over the weekend has been the fact that she's obviously ill. Is it pneumonia? Is it not pneumonia? Does she have something more serious going on? Why is she not letting us see our medical records? And instead of capitalizing on that and actually exploiting the weakness of an opponent, he releases a plan that is entirely not conservative, to the lauding of the people that are already supporting him, and the rest of us are sitting back going, you almost had this thing in the bag after it looked like, because Sunday Morning looked like the sequel to Weekend at Bernie's. It was Weekend at Bernie's 2, your day with Hillary. Because, they're like dragging her into the van like she's half dead. And that's all everybody was talking about. And again, as usual, he finds a way to steal the limelight, puts out this idea that is decidedly not conservative, and nobody, and I mean nobody of any prominence on radio is even talking about it. Much less I listened to them today once I saw this story breaking just to see if anybody would talk about it. Rush didn't talk about it. Hannity didn't talk about it. I didn't get to listen to much of Mark Levin, so I don't know if he talked about it. But you go to social media, and those of us that are trying to work our way up to the ladder on radio, we're all talking about it, but none of the big boys are. I wonder why that is. When you're decidedly looking at a policy that is nowhere near conservative, and the kings of conservative talk radio are like, I don't know what you're talking about. We're going to go back to talking about Hillary because she's really, really sick.
Yeah, and I think it's a newsworthy. Obviously, that video is. If you can watch that and think that that's your mother and not be concerned, then I don't know where your head's at. You don't have a heart, and you obviously don't care about your mom very much. It was a very disturbing video, but this is actual policy, and for once, he kind of did put forth at least a semi-detailed version of some sort of policy that he would like to enact, and it gets skated over by the so-called conservative media, or at least the top-level punditry class, and it's a shame. They're just all shilling for him. I just saw, join us tonight on Hannity. We'll have Republican nominee. I'm like, is he a co-host by now? Isn't he on every night? Is that even something to promote anymore? You're just sitting there holding his hand. It's kind of disgusting.
That's not point of order. That's not his hand.
Well, okay, yeah. I'll let you go.
You're welcome.
But and then it's funny because a bunch of the people that have accused Never Trumpers of having some sort of payout from it, or they're making some sort of money off of it, are the ones that continuously get sought out by his campaign and are taking jobs, like today with AJ Delgado.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that. I was like, are you kidding me?
Senior advisor. And I said, well, of course she is. Of course she is. She has done nothing but humped him this entire time. And she has completely changed her stances on a number of things. She was always kind of an idiot and got on my nerves anyway. So I had no love lost there anyways. But, she had actually very specifically, or had very enthusiastically accused, people at NRO and Never Trumpers for making some sort of money off of their position. And now who's making money?
It's funny how that always works, because the ones that are usually shouting the loudest about, well, you're just doing this because you're making money, turn out to be the ones that are supposed to be making money. Hey, AJ, I hope you got your money up front, because Trump apparently doesn't like to pay people.
Well, and you know what? And by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a consultant or an advisor and making money, especially for someone who you've come to support. But pointing the finger around and then getting hired on like that just made me laugh so hard. And also, did I mention that I think she's an idiot? Because she's an idiot. Whoops.
I'm just wondering, because, the Delgado move kind of makes sense because he's lost a lot of Hispanic support. She's Cuban, so I kind of see the logic in that, because a lot of his advisory council from the Hispanic groups was like, yeah, we're done. After that whole back and forth with immigration, we're done, we're out. So he found somebody that fits the mold that supports him. So no surprise there. So, if she's able to market it, great. Personally, I don't care how much money he offered. I'd have been like, yeah, no, you're going to have to find another fat white guy, because I don't fit your demographic. Wait, you already have Christie. You're covered. Keep looking. Oh, but yeah, it's crazy all over. Like, I saw a story that actually... Bill O'Keefe was actually on with me this morning, and we were actually talking about Bannon, the new executive director of his campaign, and how a lot of folks, and this is going to seem like a non sequitur for a second, but I promise I'll bring it back together, that there are a lot of folks that play the online game World of Warcraft that are like really big Trumpers. He's like, even the word cuck has just become a general insult on there because he plays it all the time. He's like, people just throw the word cuck around now all the time. Doesn't matter if you're a Trump supporter or not. It's just become an online insult. If you're being an idiot or you get killed easy, there's like, hey, you cuck. Well, it turns out that, and the reason I was saying I was going to bring this all around, there's a story that actually broke, I think it was either today or yesterday, that one of the first places that Mr. Bannon made a lot of money was was actually getting hired on and then eventually running one of the companies that farms gold for WoW. So he's moved from one con to another.
Ugh.
Just saying. So,
yeah.
For those of you who don't play online video games, there's an economy based around a lot of those. You have the ability to go out, you do what's called farming, where you go and you kill a certain number of animals, you get their skins, you collect plant life, whatever it is that you can collect to make money. Well, there's also these people that usually are somehow attached to the Chinese, or I guess maybe in Bannon's case, maybe the Russians, that usually will like send you these messages when you're playing your game. Hey, send me a whisper. I'll give you the details on how you can get 10,000 gold for $4.99, which, by the way, is a complete violation of terms of service. Somewhat illegal. It is usually a con, and yet the guy that's running Trump's campaign is actually known to have been a part of one of those organizations. Why does this not surprise me?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I don't know anything about that world, but that is really kind of funny to hear and very interesting too.
I do. I'm a nerd. I freely admit to being a nerd. I have, in the years that it's been available, I have played World of Warcraft. Kind of got burnt out on that one. I then played a game called EVE Online, which was kind of science fiction based. I've also played the Star Wars MMO, and I'm currently back to playing Star Trek Online, because I freely admit that I'm a nerd. Now, granted, when I say play these days, it's usually for like maybe 20 minutes on a weekend. I'll get to sit down and turn something on for a few minutes. But yeah, it used to be bad. I actually admitted to Bill this morning that I am an internet gaming junkie, and it's been 20 years since my last meeting. But yeah, he was talking about how he'll like usually play till about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, I remember those days back before I started trying to do all this other stuff and try to find a way to actually make real money instead of making money in a video game.
Yeah. No, I have not played those kinds of games. I've played video games, and I've gotten sucked into a few here or there, but mostly it's just that when I was, growing up and everything was coming out and then into college, I was so dang busy that I never had the time. So I never got lost in the world, but that's okay.
So basically what you're saying is you're not a nerd. That's okay.
Oh no, I'm a nerd. I'm just not a World of Warcraft nerd.
Not a gaming nerd. Yes, that's right, folks. There are different types of nerds. I happen to be the nerdiest one possible. I used to spend all my time in front of the computer pushing buttons. Now I still do, but it's usually because I'm either broadcasting or producing. All right, well, believe it or not, we're already into the bottom of the hour, so we're going to have to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're actually going to change gears. We're going to talk a little bit about the debacle with Hillary over the weekend and the fact that pneumonia is currently running for its life and begging for someone to hide it. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. This is Jenn and Rick. We are live. We'll be right back with you here in just a few minutes.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Proud as hell, I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is the Jenn and Rick Show, and as promised, we're going to change gears just a little bit and kind of, as we do usually here, we try to give both sides as much as possible a little coverage because we don't really want either one of them to be president. One story that I thought was kind of interesting was where all the jokes now that are going around about pneumonia and how there's people that are like pretending to be pneumonia, putting out tweets that it was a setup. Everybody knows you can't mess with the Clintons. I promise I didn't do it. There was one where people are putting together fake little cute news stories about pneumonia being found dead with 3 bullet holes in the back of the head and it being ruled suicide. The simple fact of the matter is, folks, it's one way that people deal with the fact that they know that right now, the people on both sides of the aisle that are at the top of the ticket are very dangerous people. And you see the gallows humor start coming out when you realize just how bad it is. And it's starting to happen on both sides because you see people that are putting out the cute tweets about pneumonia. You've seen all the people basically talking to Ann Coulter, me included, today when the tweet came out that she said she would die for Trump. And we're all like, waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you know, and you can be offended by that, or you can and whatever. But I mean, it's not like I'm actually wanting her to kill herself. But at the same time, if you're dumb enough to say something like that, you just kind of deserve whatever you get. Because I can.
Yeah, you just open the door for it. That's what I did. I quote tweeted it and I said, "Well, go on."
Yeah, I know. Because right as I was pushing mine, I scrolled up and saw you did it already, and I'm like, really? This is twice you've beat me to these things today. Because we were like on the same wavelength within about 30 to 45 seconds of each other, I guess. Were. Because that happened once earlier today. I had put something out and I'm like, oh, wait, never mind. That's kind of old news, apparently. And then you did it happen again this afternoon. And I'm like, really? But yeah, I mean, it's just.
I'm pretty quick on the draw sometimes.
Yeah, well. It's just one of those things, I guess.
It comes across, you know, it just all depends on if you've refreshed fast enough, too.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that they're even willing to make such outlandish statements escapes me. Because I can think of maybe, if it really came down to it, about 4 or 5 people, if I had my choice, that I would die for. Presidential candidates, not really one of them. Now, a sitting president, if I had the chance to take a bullet for one of them, even if I disagreed with their policies, I would likely do so because, hey, they're the president. But until they actually get the office, especially if I completely and wholeheartedly disagree with everything they're saying, I'm not going to put out a tweet that says, I will die for Hillary Clinton or I will die for Donald Trump. No, actually, right now, I wouldn't necessarily consider dying for either one of them.
Yeah, no, this devotion to politicians and the way that people are devoted to and basically worship Trump and did with Obama and are continuing with Clinton, though it's kind of a different group, I think. But still, that like undying love and adoration and they can do no wrong and yes, queen, and all that kind of stuff is so utterly disturbing to me. You should not, first of all, care about someone that you don't know that much anyways, that you've never met before. You certainly should not, for a politician. This is disgusting, really. And there's so much of it on both sides. And we all laughed about it with Obama. But now that so many of our own are doing it with Trump, there's all sorts of justification going on, and also they're trying to make all sorts of little distinctions on why it's different than the Obama cult, as people called it. But it is. It's so cult-like, and it's so gross, in my opinion.
It's just insane. And it's one of the things that we keep coming back to and we keep talking about on both sides of the aisle, but it's been most painful on ours because we watched all of this for 8 years, this sycophantic behavior when it came to Obama, the fact that nobody felt like he could do anything wrong, regardless of the hundreds and hundreds of things that we saw that he and his administration did wrong every day. And then we finally had a chance to try to do something about it, and we adopt the exact same behavior on this side of the aisle, and everybody's like, well, why aren't you going to vote for Trump? And I'm like, because
get in line. Because get in line, pick one. All of this rhetoric and crap that just stop. I mean, they're acting like liberals. They're acting like Democrats. We get to have our own opinions and that's one thing that, conservatives have typically prided themselves on, is that though they will make concessions, and hopefully not such large ones, but like minor ones, in order to get someone with at least somewhat like-minded ideals in office. The whole point and the point of the Tea Party and everything else is that we don't sacrifice those things and we don't change them for a candidate just because they keep changing what they're saying. That's what, and defend them in such a way that it's almost like it's personal, like you're hurt that someone would question your dear leader. That's what the left has always done. And they've made excuses for their candidates, and they've, circled the wagons for them. And now to see the right do it this way, I think is the worst part about this election. I mean, I thought we were different, and I've seen a lot of people that I had respect for completely fall prey to this con and go the same route of all the people that they ridiculed for so long on the left, and they're just a mirror image.
No, exactly. And I mean, look, I understand that there comes a time when you become invested in your candidate. We've all been down that road before. At some point, even though McCain wasn't anywhere on my list, and then for a second I had a bit of bright spot until I realized that Sarah Palin was just pretending to be something she wasn't. We still got invested. I remember having the same arguments that I'm having today from the complete other side of the equation under McCain and under Romney. And I understand being invested in your candidate, but I don't understand being so invested that you start... I mean, it's not even... We keep talking about mental gymnastics. At this point, these people aren't even doing mental gymnastics. They're having to bend themselves like pretzels to keep up with all this guy's changes. And their principles and their focal points are having to turn on a dime every 5 seconds just to keep up with it, and they're still rationalizing every step of the way. This tells me that the majority of the people that I thought were part of this core group of principled people within this party actually didn't really have any principles at all, because principles don't sway in the wind. They stand firm. They stand strong. They're there. You change. Your principles don't. At least that's what I was always taught. If you believe in something and you firmly believe in it, then no matter how much you change, those core beliefs should not change. And I've seen so many people changing their core beliefs just to make sure that they get to pull the lever for Trump. And that's what's had me terrified now for nearly 13 out of the last 15 months, because we've had people completely lose themselves in this Trump phenomenon, because we've gone from people and hearing people like Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Michael Savage, and everybody telling us how conservatism matters and we need to stand for principles and we need to make sure that we're putting people in office that stand for principles, to we must win at all costs and we must defeat Hillary at all costs.
Those people are the ones that were mad at like the Christies and the Rubios and, you know, the Bushes of the world, because they weren't conservative enough and they didn't uphold very, very specific and strict conservative ideals, and that they didn't do enough, even though some of it wasn't in their control. And to flip, to go to this populist, you know, authoritarian liberal, and then just absolutely make up anything and everything to explain his every behavior and his every position is, I mean, that goes beyond just like a supporter or someone who, you know, is invested in the candidate like you were talking about. That's straight up a disciple. I mean, they have turned into his little parroting disciples. And if they don't get word from if there has not been a good enough excuse given from the campaign, you know, in a reasonable enough time, then they start making them up for them. And they just start spinning, especially if you're watching social media, they're just spinning. It's like I don't know how they're not all throwing up from being dizzy. They have to spin so much and so hard. It's really gross. It's not just defending them. It's not just being a supporter and just, you know, following this politician and putting their weight behind him and, you know, knowing that they have some bad, but they mostly have good, like we did with the McCains and the Romneys, and that we don't like some of it, but we mostly like it. So let's just go with it. And being frustrated with those that were just so staunch. But those ones that were so staunch were usually ticked off over like one or two little things, or some position they took, you know, that or how they didn't filibuster or something hard enough for something, or how it was always fairly trivial, or I'm not quite in love with his stance on this. It was never so drastic as it is with Trump and our like just vehement opposition to, or his vehement opposition to our conservative standards and values. And that's what that's where it's just kind of gotten away, and they've turned into these, there's the class that's sycophants and there's the class that's disciples. And there's a lot on both sides, but I never thought I'd see it this much from the right.
And I know I keep coming back to him a lot, but it's probably because I think him behaving the way he's been behaving out of this election cycle, honestly, is probably one of the things that hurt the most. Because I used to listen to Hannity religiously. I used to watch Hannity religiously, and I don't mean that as in a sycophantic kind of way. I'm just saying, if he was on and I was in the car, his show was on. If he was on and if I was home and wasn't doing anything else and his show was on TV, I was typically watching it. A lot of times from him, Glenn Beck, or Mark Levin, they would be kind of my show prep for the next day. I would be listening to the things that they said and say, hey, I like a lot of the things that they're talking about, but I think maybe we should come at it from a different angle. At this point, it reminds me, and this is coming back to my nerd again, I understand, but stay with me. At this point, it reminds me of the very end of Star Wars Episode 3, where Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi are having their final battle, and all of a sudden Anakin just goes completely nuts, starts screaming at the top of his lungs, and you see the eyes start turning from the yellow glow to the full-on red. That, to me, has kind of been Sean Hannity's transition, especially over the last few weeks, because one of the things that astounds me is because I mentioned this morning with Bill when he was on that, he had this whole quote tweet thing going on where he was picking up on the same tweet over and over again and putting new things around it. I didn't realize until a story broke about that today that he was actually doing that while he was in the middle of a concert, supposed to be out having fun, and he's on his phone, like all caps, Trump like level 6 tweeting people and be like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, really? I mean, dude, he was in the middle of a concert, supposed to be out having fun, and he's telling people that they have to own it if Hillary wins.
I'm like, no, you have to own it because you pushed him on us, and all of the people that voted for him. It's on them. It's not on me. That's the most ridiculous thing. Oh, gosh, so annoying. Own it.
But see, here's my thing, though, and it's right back to what we were just talking about a second ago, and this is actually a hashtag to artist Angie, because she's actually, or hat tip, not hashtag. She was actually just the one that I saw bringing this up. With all of you folks that are supporting Trump that are supposed to be conservative, if he gets the White House and it enacts this nanny state plan of his, which is what I'm going to start calling it now. I don't care if anybody else does. That's what it is for me from now on. What happens when it starts killing all the small businesses? How many times have we heard conservatives talk about how small business is the driving engine of the American economy, yet this guy, who is nothing but a big businessman, acting like a crazy person and at the same time trying to treat everybody like he's a used car salesman. What happens when he starts killing small businesses? We're seeing the exact same things that Obama's doing, but just coming at it from a different angle. And it's the same thing that I've been telling everybody for months, and so have a lot of people on this station. Trump is Obama 3.0, Hillary is Obama 2.0. No matter how this ends, we still wind up getting more and more and more of Obama's policies, with a lot more of the temper, might I add, from either one of them. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but both Hillary and Trump have a really big temper.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
They are not. I do think that as far as keeping it together publicly, she's got the edge on him. But yeah, neither one of them likes to be told what to do. Or did you see that thing where people said, part of it had been she was dehydrated? Oh, she's a little dehydrated and she doesn't drink enough water. And it's been a point of contention with her staff for a while now, like since they've been on the campaign trail. And someone said, yeah, you try to tell Hillary Clinton to drink water. I'd like to see you try. They don't like being told what to do. They call all the shots. And I think they both have a little nasty temper when that doesn't go, when things don't go their way. And I think he just says it into the microphone. I think she does it behind closed doors.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing that is a little different, and the one thing that I actually kind of liked about Trump, again, until I realized he didn't have an off switch, he will tell you exactly what he thinks. Of course, in 5 seconds, he'll have forgotten what that was and tell you something else about the same exact topic. But at least he's up front, and he doesn't do the behind closed doors, gonna stab you in the back when you're not looking. That's the Clinton thing, not Trump. But at the same time, like I said, at this point we have 2 candidates supposed to be opposite sides of the ticket with a lot of the same platforms, both of which have ties to terrorist organizations. One is BLM, the other one is the alt-right. And yet somehow we're supposed to go, you must choose one and you must choose wisely. At this point, I'm ready to choose not to play. How's that work?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally hearing from people every day. They're like, "What's the point in even voting anymore?" At this point, it's become so apparent in this cycle that this has been nothing but a sham for so long, and nobody noticed. And the only ones that are clamoring that it's not are the ones that are trying to keep control, whether they're already in office or the people that make money off of the people in office. Those are the only ones that are yelling, "Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain."
Yeah, I just don't, I think part of it, though, is I think it's way worse with him behind the curtain, too, though. Like, behind closed doors. I think what he does in public is just some of his shooting off. I think he can really be...
oh, no, I mean, don't get me wrong.
A lot nastier and a jerk. I think that's just his... He just doesn't have he just can't let something go at the moment, whereas trained politicians know how to do that. Or, make a little comment, but then move right along or go, okay, sure, okay, well, I'm not going to comment on that, and they can be kind of condescending and snarky and whatever, but who cares? He just doesn't have that filter. He doesn't have that down. And I think some of it, too, is that he plays it up. He likes to do it because that's been his world. He's an entertainer. And so he does it for the entertainment factor, too, and he knows he's going to get a headline. So he'll do the... also grabbing the attention and the headline. And I think that's partially calculated. I don't think all of it is just running at the mouth. I think some of it's calculated.
Speaking of headlines, guess what time it is?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. This passed really quickly today.
Well, we're not quite done yet, but it is time for...
we have to do the WTF files.
Yep.
What the man?
All right, so this one isn't necessarily gross, but it was still something that made me say WTF, and it was actually from KATU Channel 2 TV. Not sure what town it's in. I think it was some town called Sutherland Orr. But apparently they are currently hanging Hillary in effigy in a town intersection with Vote Trump signs hanging all around it, and American flags hanging upside down, etc. Does anybody remember how mad we used to get when the liberals would burn Bush in effigy and say how disrespectful that was and stuff? And this is kind of the same thing I keep talking about. Why is it always okay unless it's the other side doing it? I don't understand that logic. I really don't.
I saw it and I was like, no, they didn't. They did. And we got your attention, huh? Like, dude, and on 9/11, that's when they put it up. Dude.
Yeah.
Not cool. Not cool.
I mean, completely not cool. I mean, look, I don't like Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to say something else right now. Yeah, I may have joked about culture a little bit, but if you know me well enough, you know I didn't actually mean it. But all of these people, and I actually have seen, friends on Facebook who have had other people comment, when they were talking about how Hillary had to be helped into the van and was basically being drugged. I kept seeing people over and over again, when is she just going to drop dead? And again, I keep coming back to what you said at the beginning of the show. If you can look at something like that, realizing that you yourself somewhere have a mom, and you don't at least feel a pang of sympathy for the fact that, you know, even if let's say she's hiding something, and let's say that she's really, really sick, the bottom line point of that is that means that she wants something so bad that she's willing to risk her health to get it. Now, I don't agree with that. I think if there is something seriously wrong, she should have been upfront about it. If there was nothing wrong at all other than the pneumonia, then she should have been upfront about it on Friday when she was supposedly diagnosed. Because then the story on Sunday would have been completely different when they said, well, at this point, the presidential candidate has been diagnosed with a form of walking pneumonia, and then when she had issue at the ceremony, everybody would have said, hey, well, at least she tried to attend and tried to pay her respects. But these people are the bad thing about the Clintons is they're always the one that managed to get the smoke going. It doesn't matter if there's fire there or not. They're the ones that are getting things going well enough where everybody starts seeing smoke. So now there is an issue where there might not even possibly be an issue. But the interesting thing is you hear all these Trump supporters are like, oh, well, she needs to release her medical records so we know what's wrong with her. Well, why won't your guy release his, especially after he said he was going to? It's no different than the taxes. He says, yeah, sure, I'm going to do it. Oh, I'm being audited. Never mind. We can't really do that until the audit's over. And IRS is like, no, we're auditing him because his taxes are highly irregular, and he's still free to release them anytime he wishes because they're still completed returns. And then he's like, well, yeah, sure, I'll release my medical records. Oh, wait, that's an invasion of my privacy. You're trying to run for president. You've, in effect, given up your privacy. Deal with it.
I don't really have anything to add. You just nailed it all down.
What can I say? Every once in a while, I'm good for something. All right, so we are on the way out the door. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can interact with you should they choose to do so?
Oh, come annoy me at J Homestead on Twitter. That's mostly where I am. JR Homestead on Facebook and misfitpolitics.weebly.com.
I wouldn't annoy her. She has lots of people that like to hang out with her on Twitter, and you'll get owned. Just saying.
That is true. Yeah. People jump in and other people get mad. It's really funny.
All right, so as usual, I am Rick Robinson. I'm actually on usually 3 hours a day from 10 to, what is it? 11 to 2 Eastern. And then also usually on here live Tuesdays and Thursdays with the Jenn and Rick Show. Also live Friday night with the Robinson and Wright Show. And, of course, again, live Saturday morning with Finding Common Ground. Yes, I freely admit to being a workaholic. We've had this discussion before. Moving along. You can hang out with me on Twitter at AOTR_host. If you like doing things old school, you can shoot me an email at ricky@thesparkradionetwork.com or rick at klnrradio.com. One of these days I'll quit almost accidentally giving out the old email address again. Speaking of which, there are Facebook pages. Some of them are still under construction. The one that's working right now is America's Coming Off the Rails. You can go give that one a like. I typically share all the shows that I'm involved in there. And because we are actually working on a TV project that I haven't quite put ink to paper on yet, we're probably about to launch something new called Robinson on the Right, which will be a streaming video show. More details about that when we have them, but it's still kind of in the infancy. But I'll probably start putting together a Facebook page in regards to that and kind of move everything to a single place on Facebook so I don't have to give out 8 million different addresses. But at this point, we are officially out of time. If you're listening to us live, then up next you're going to hear the Rhino Report. And if you're not, check local listings or go back to our listings. It's here on Spreaker or SoundCloud, Stitcher. Most of us are on iTunes at this point. Some of us are on iHeartRadio. I'm sure there's millions of things that you can listen to out there. Just glad that you take time out of your day to listen with us. And I will talk to you guys in the morning, and we'll be back on Thursday. Have a good night.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what